Eileo guys, and welcome back. So today I have Sexy Waifu's account for the next account review, and let's go ahead and get right into it. So I've already went ahead and I've went through your obviously your mind box, and I checked out your gems, and you have a decent understanding of gems, but you're not really quite there yet in my opinion. You have a lot of your mons on decent sets that makes sense, but a few of them I have issues with. One being number one, your mons that you have on ruin sets. You have them on ruin sets, but they're running like maybe HP attack defense or HP attack attack. I don't see any of your mons that you're running on ruin sets needing crit, number one. I don't see any of your mons on ruin sets even with decent crit subs or even a crit rate gem in the square slot that they have. So I'm kind of just questioning why. But why would you do that? Why would you do any of that? I would definitely readdress those mons. They don't need crit, but if you're going to do a ruin set, I would personally prefer for you to have at least 80-85% crit minimum if you're going to run a ruin set, because all the times that your mon doesn't crit with such a low crit rate, like 17% crit rate on one of your ruin sets, your gem set is basically useless. You could mitigate that loss of damage by picking a Valor set or running a broken set with better crit subs or just better subs in general. So definitely take a look at that. I also noticed that you have a lot of flat gems on your mons. It's not a big deal. You did invest into them. It's not a super big deal, but in the future you can definitely replace those. They aren't the big glaring issue here, so don't worry too much about that. And then I did also want to mention you are level 47. I mean, eventually you should be level 50 within a month or two. And my biggest problem with your account is that you don't have a lot of level 60s at all. I mean, you have those four right there. You have two water ones that are level 60. You have one wood one. You have one light one. And then you have two dark mons that are level 60. Ideally, you should have at least 4 to 5 mons of each element that are level 60 Evo 3. If they're Nat 5s or Nat 4s, Evo 2 even is acceptable. But by this stage in the game, you should be having quite a, not all of your mons, but quite a handful of mons that are level 60, so you can swap them around to do different content. So I'm really questioning what's going on here. Like, one of the biggest things holding your account back right now is just the lack of levels that your mons have, especially attackers. They're very, very squishy at 50. They're not at their strongest either. By you getting them simply to level 60, since they're already Evo 3, is going to up their stats up quite a lot. So definitely keep that in mind. I did go ahead and pick out some golem teams for you as well. So let's go ahead and check them out. If my nose would stop itching. Alright, so it looks like you're almost at the end of Tower of Chaos. You got further than I expected. But for your B7 team, this is obviously your B8 team. We're gonna change that. That has to go. But for your B7 team, I end up picking out who has a better pet leader skill. Looks like they're the same. But Wood Tiger, Wood Jean, John, Jacob, Wood Bast, and then you could also bring in Tails if you choose to build your Tails some more, or you could bring in Wood Artemis. Either or, doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Tails defense down might slow you down though on auto, so that is something to keep in mind. But this team right here should be pretty stable for you. Wood Artemis does bring in heals, so if she's healing the whole squad, no problem, and no one's dying and it's not hurting your run time, you could definitely switch Wood Bast out, and I would say you could bring in pretty much any mon that you want. You could bring in Light Leo in theory. You could also bring in your Dark Phoebian, your Dark Kraken if you want, even though she's not really that much DPS, so I probably would not recommend her. If you choose to invest in your Merlin, you can also bring in your not Wood Merlin, but your Water Merlin. Dark Kiki works, whoever. Your Dark Moonflower, it all works. You could just bring in another DPS, preferably just a Dark Nuker, because you're going to invest in them anyways. And that should be your B7 team. That should be pretty much set. This does translate over to Dragons as well. Again, you may need a healer, so you may need to keep Bast in there if Wood Artemis can't do everything for everyone. But for the most part, as long as your mons are level 60, Evo 2, Evo 3, and gym properly, you should be okay. For your B8 team, it's fine. I don't know why you have Water Siren there though. I would just take her out and put in another Water Mona, and that team should be fine. Definitely get your Monas and your Valk up to level 60. If you're only going to use your Monas for B8 farming, you could actually run them on triple attack, or you could just run them on HP attack instead. But if you're going to use them in other content, because I noticed that they were HP attack defense, that's fine. It's okay. But definitely get those level 60. Get them booked up as soon as possible, because this is your big money maker right here. And then for your B9 team, you got a couple of different choices here, so just keep in mind with me. Of course, you can run your Fire Wukong, but I don't need his variant skill. You could bring in your Fire Succubus. You could bring in Fire Wukong, even though his Sea Strike isn't that useful here. Fire Arthur, and then I would say, since you already have Siegfried, a Fire Siegfried, or Fire Draka, you could always bring one of those two in here. Either Fire Draka or Fire Siegfried, and this should be a decent team if your DPS is good enough. You could always switch out your Wukong if you want it and run Zubaji. You could always take out her and run Fire Draka as long as they are gemmed up properly. If you find yourself dying though, feel free to get one of the DPS, get rid of one of the DPS, and you can throw in your Fire Cupid. Again, all of these mons need to be level 60, Evo 2 at very minimum, and I do suggest that you do invest in your Fire Succubus for future use, also your Fire Cupid for future use. Fire Siegfried and Fire Draka, depending on whoever that you want to build to Evo 3, definitely get them up to level 60 and get their gems set as well. But again, this is just a template, so you don't have to use this, but this is something that I personally would use. And again, you can translate it over to Dragons, and this would be an okay Dragons team. You have a Mon that can do defense down with some self-sustain. You have a Wave Clearer. You have a Mon with CC if you need it, and then you have Fire Cupid, which can heal the squad and buff up their attack. If you don't need the CC, you could always bring in another hard-hitting Mon, because you do have your Light Leo if you want to use him for CCing. But you could always invest in maybe a Light Leo if you don't end up getting rid of your Zubaji, and not Light Leo, but Fire Leo. That's a good choice. If you're gonna use your Fire Yuki though, it needs to be Fire Yuki or Fire Succubus. Wow, they look very much alike in these photos. Wow. But you could run one of those, but I wouldn't run both of them. And then Fire Yuki may slow your time down on auto because of her defense down. Just keep that in mind. And now for your B10 team, you need to get your Light Nike up to level 60 ASAP. But for your B10 team, where is she? Alright, so you could run Light Nike. You could do your Fire Siegfried or Fire Draka. It doesn't really matter who. They're going to be your Wave Clearer. You can use Fire Succubus as another Wave Clearer, and plus with her AoE defense down, that could definitely help your runtime. And then you could go ahead and throw in your Wardamiho, because that's your only dedicated sapper at the moment, if I can find her. That should be an okay team. If you find that you're still dying with this team because they're not gemmed up properly, you need to address the gem situation. Don't come here until you can do the other ones perfectly fine and get some decent gems on your Mon. But if you find that you're dying, you could always take out Fire Draka and put in your Water Purse. Where's she at? You could put in your Water Purse instead. This right here is like Eileo's first B10 team ever. You could always run that. If Water Purse heals is a little bit too much, feel free to go ahead and slide in Dark Fabian over there as well. But eventually, once you get a stable team with B10, you get your Mons gemmed up, you're going to let your Light Nike go. and you're going to come in with your Fire Siegfried and Fire Draka, and preferably I would say another sapper, so you could actually get rid of Succubus as well and run Fire Draka, Fire Siegfried, of course, on a Siphon set, and then bring in another sapper, and that should be your pretty much in-game Beatin team for right now. Of course, you can change this. Again, this is only a template, but this is something I would do later on. But right now, no. Right now, you need Light Nike. You need her in there. If you need Water Purse because your mons are dying, put in your Water Purse. I would definitely bring in Fire Succubus because of her defense down and her self-sustain. And then you're going to need a sapper regardless. So Wet Miho should do the job unless you end up pulling a Fire Purse or a Water Artemis, Dark Flora, whatever. But that's pretty much it for your B10 team. This should work for Dragon's B7 as well with minor tweaks. With Dragon's B7, you can keep your Light Nike as long as she's tanking properly. You can keep Water Purse if you need her. If you need her, you could always switch her out with, again, Dark Phibian for more DPS. And you're going to need to invest in your Dark Nukers. You're really going to need to invest in them. You could bring in Dark Gatito. He's perfectly fine. And then preferably a mon that can do defense down. So if you want to bring in your Fire Yuki, I mean, that's okay. It's not a big deal. If they're surviving and you don't really need heals, then you can always take out Dark Phibian and throw in maybe your Dark Moonflower or Dark Lucy, and then bring in another mon that does defense down, and that should be your Dragon's B7 team. B8 is, again, for Dragons will be very, very similar to your Golem's B9 team. Just make sure you get rid of a DPS and add in a healer. For your Dragon's B9 team, I would definitely take Water Syrah up in there for some CC if you need it. You could take in Shelly. You could run your Water Mona, or probably your Water Valk might be a better choice. She should hit harder than your Water Mona. Take in your Water Valk, and then you could also bring in Water Mona if your DPS is good enough. If it's good enough, you could swap her out with Water Merlin too if you decide to keep Merlin. Or you could also bring in Sonic as well. Sonic is viable as a DPS. Do I know how viable he is? Not right offhand, but just from his skill set, he should be okay in there. I don't really picture him dying too much in B9 if he's gemmed properly, but these are all just suggestions. You're not ready for this yet. You are not ready. I don't recommend Dragon's B10 because Dragon's B10 is a scam. It is just a scam. I mean, there's no other way for me to tell you the truth. And then for Colossus, you're not ready for Colossus either. I'm sorry. You're just not ready. But if you were going to do Colossus, I would say for the wood one, definitely bring in your Sun Wukong. Definitely bring in your Fire Shinobi. You're going to need a mon that can do SP Siphon. So you do have a Dark Sand Wraith. If I can find him. You also have a Dark Lupin, but Dark Lupin might be crit based. So if you can get his crit up for his SP Siphon to work, because I think he is crit based, he could work as an SP Siphoner. And then for your second team, I would actually choose a mon that could do defense down as soon as possible. So perhaps your Fire Nightmare instead. Where is she? Oh, you already have her up there. So maybe your Fire... Wait, what are their passives? Clan? What's that going to do for me? His is Clan too, isn't it? Sick. Just sick. So you have a defense downer, then you have 2 DPS and an SP Siphoner. Then for your second team, try to follow suit. Bring in another mon that could do defense down. Fire Succubus, she's okay. But you're probably going to be better off bringing in your Fire Yuki. You could run Zubaji in there. And then another hard-hitting mod, preferably like Leo, Fire Mowgli, whoever. Dark Moonflower if you have to, even though she might be a little bit frail. And then your Dark Sand Wraith as another SP Siphoner. But all of these mons, they need to be geared properly. They need to be level 60. They need at least a decent amount of commitment in them in order for this to work, because you're going to do SP Siphon on the right minion after every other mon attacks the Colossus, and you should be able to clear Wood Colossus. I don't really see a big problem here. The second team might be kind of iffy, but if it is, you know, switch out Zubaji and put maybe Fire Shinobi in your second team to clean up whatever the first team couldn't do. But you should definitely be able to do that for Light Colossus in the future. Again, you're going to be doing pretty much a similar method here. I would say bring in your Fire Nightmare to do defense down on the Light Colossus. You could run Dark Fib in there. Then you could also run Dark Gatito, and I like to run my Dark Gatito with Dark Lucy, because if I can get Lucy's 5-star off before I can get Gatito's 5-star off, Lucy comes with Exposed Weakness on her 5-star, and she also has Hunter for her 3-star. So if she can get her Exposed Weakness off before Gatito does his thing, that Light Colossus is pretty much dead. He's pretty much gone. But if the first team can't do it, you can always come in with the second team. You could, you know, put in Dark Bulby, Dark Moonflower, and I'm trying to see if you have any other good nukers. Really dependent on who you have raised up. Dark Kikishi's okay. Not the best, but okay. Usable. And any other Dark Nuker that you could get if possible. If not, you could bring in just Amon with Hunter preferably. If not, bring in maybe Zubaji. But that should be okay for your Light Colossus as well. But again, you're not ready for this. You are not ready for this. You need a lot of investment before that can happen. But definitely get those mons up and get them built, and you should be well on your way. Your problem with Tower of Chaos probably stems from your lack of investment in your mons as well. Like, I'm surprised you made it this far if you're using this team. So you're using Fire Arthur for the CC, perfectly fine. Bast as a healer, then your Water Mona as a wave clearer, and then your Siegfried as Exposed Weakness and Sea Strike. I would bring in a CC'er. If you need a healer, I guess you can keep Bast in there, but I would bring in a CC'er, a mon that can do defense down, like your Fire Nightmare or your Fire Yuki, and then preferably a Dark Nuker. Like maybe not Dark Gatito, but perhaps your Dark Lucy instead, as long as she's built correctly. But I would run something like that. That way you can, number 1, stun Hades. Number 2, you can hit him with defense down if you get lucky enough. And then number 3, you can use a nuker or 2 nukers to try and DPS him down as soon as possible. If that method doesn't work, I would still keep my Dark Lucy in there for wave clearing, but you could always take out your Fire Nightmare and then bring in your Water Sura. You're going to go in there with 2 Sea Strikers. I mean, not Sea Strikers, but 2 CC'ers. If I can find him. Where is he? Maybe I passed him already. Oh my goodness. But you can go in there with 2 CC'ers instead of 1. Is your run going to be a lot longer? Yes, but it might be a lot more stabler because you have 2 chances to stun Hades versus 1. But these mons are going to need investment. Sir is going to need max crit rate for his crits to be, for his stun to be reliable on his 3-star skill. Dark Lucy is going to need to be hopefully on an intuition set or ruin in the future. But to leave you off here, sexy waifu, I would definitely tell you that you need to invest in your Dark Nukers. Number 1, invest in your Dark Nukers, invest in your Dark Fibian, invest in your Dark Gatito, your Dark Moonflower, and your Dark Lucy. Number 2, I would definitely raise your Fire Succubus as soon as possible. You could spend time raising Fire Siegfried or Fire Draco. You could raise them both if you want. It doesn't really matter. But they're going to be hopefully a mon that you get on Siphon set first for just clearing out story content and just farming. It just makes life a whole lot easier. You can use them in golems. You can get away with using them in some of the dragons as well. And definitely your water Sura if you need another mon for stunning, but you do have your fire Arthur, which is viable as well. And last but not least, definitely try to pick up a Dark Stealer if you can, because he's another Dark Nuker. He's not as strong as the other ones, but his 3-star skill, especially with max crit, can do some good damage. So overall, that's going to help your team even in Colossus, clan versus clan, whatever content that you need Dark Nukers. He can even help you in Tower of Chaos. I mean, he is a little bit squishy, but he's well worth the investment, so definitely try to pick him up. But if you have any other questions, please let your boy know. Hit me up on Discord. I got your back, man. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Sexy Waifu, I definitely hope this video helped. Remember, this is just advice at the end of the day. That's all it is. Definitely check out the comments, because the other guys might have caught something that I didn't know or that I might have missed. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.